Hello everyone, my name is Olamipo and this is my presentation on health communication campaign. My topic is hypertension. So hypertension is also known as high blood pressure, and it's fondly called the silent killer because a lot of times there are no glaring symptoms when a person has high blood pressure. It affects about 1.13 billion people in the world and affects more men than women. Reducing hypertension is one of the World Health Organization's global goals. They want to reduce it by 25% by 2020. So it's a pretty big deal. High blood pressure can lead to heart disease, artery disease, kidney damage, blindness, and even death. There are some modifiable risk factors and others that are non-modifiable risk factors. Some modifiable risk factors include unhealthy diet, physical inactivity, tobacco and alcohol use, being overweight or obese. When we talk about unhealthy diet, we're talking about increased salt consumption, a diet that's high in saturated fat and trans fat, a decreased consumption of fruits and vegetables. For the non-modifiable risk factors, we have family history of hypertension, age that's greater than 65 years, and comorbid disease conditions such as diabetes or kidney disease. So next we will take a look at a video from the American Heart Association about this.
One of the major things that leads to developing risk for heart disease is the unhealthy diet that most Americans are exposed to. Unfortunately, we eat too much fast food, too much processed food, and those foods tend to be high in fat, high in calories, and very, very high in sodium. All of those things can be bad for our cholesterol, our blood pressure, and raise our risk for developing diabetes. So what I tell my patients is it's really important to try to build your eating pattern from the bottom up. Really focus on the main things that fill you up, being fruits and vegetables, and have some lean protein like chicken or fish. And then the last thing you should add, and only in sparing amounts, is starches. It's okay to have some whole grains, but don't have that fatty muffin that's whole grain and held together by a lot of calories. Instead, think about whole grain cereals and an occasional slice of whole grain bread. But again, the bottom line is lots of fruits and vegetables, and that's what you should fill you up.
All right. So the purpose of the video is to provide insight on the effects that a poor diet has on high blood pressure, and also the risks of developing other comorbid conditions such as diabetes and hyperlipidemia. What was the video trying to accomplish? It was trying to provide tips on healthy eating and diet. The main point is that patients should consume more fruits and vegetables in their diet. So now we will take a look at my educational tool. So I made a flyer about hypertension and nutrition. On the left here, diet plays a major role when it comes to reducing and managing blood pressure. And increased sodium consumption is actually the main culprit. So what can I do? One is to reduce portion sizes, eat more fruits and vegetables, reduce salt intake to less than 5 grams daily, eat less processed foods, sugary drinks, sweets, and fatty meats, consume a diet that contains food from all the food groups such as whole grains, healthy oils, low-fat dairy, and protein, and eat less highly processed foods and fast foods and more homemade and less processed meals. So this is a flyer that I made. It highlights the importance of diet to the person with hypertension and goes over some tips or action points on what can be done to consume a healthier or a heart-healthy diet. Same with the video, the flyer highlights what foods to avoid, what foods to limit, and what foods to increase the intake of. So the goals of the flyer is to draw awareness on the effect of diet in reducing high blood pressure, to improve dietary habits and choices, and ultimately to decrease high blood pressure. Thank you for listening.